Hey, everybody, and welcome to Roundtable, the NPFL's official podcast. That's the National Professional Fishing League, but you already knew that because you're a fan, aren't you? I know because I'm a fan. I recognize you out there. We are here today at stop number 4, and we're live from Captain John's on the shores of Lake Eufaula in Eufaula, Oklahoma. As I said, stop 4. The season is about to kick off its second half, and we're here. We got right outside our window here, we got 102,000 acres of water. We got 600 miles of shoreline. We got 110 anglers competing for a $100,000 first place, but there is just one red, white, and blue NPFL trophy that's going to go home with one of them. 3 days of competition. That's going to start Wednesday, June 18th. Today was day 1 of official practice. We're going to get into that with my 2 guests momentarily, and they are Lendell Martin Jr. and Tommy Biffle, who will be here in about half an hour. Meanwhile, as I said, start of the second half of the season. You know, we've had 3 derbies already in the books. Santee Cooper, Lake Norman, Lake Douglas. A lot has happened. A lot is yet to happen. So I'm excited about that. Kyle Welcher leads our Progressive Angler of the Year race, but Patrick Walters, Greg Hackney, and Caleb Kufall are all within about 14 points of the leader. So it's going to be a tight race. It's coming down to the wire here. Every angler is still in the hunt to qualify for the 2026 championship. Let's get this edition of Roundtable underway. My first guest, you see him sitting right here. What a huge hit he was at Lake Douglas in the live coverage. His name is Lendell Martin Jr. He's from Nacogdoches, Texas. Lendell, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited about being here. Ken, you invited me, and I appreciate that invite. And looking forward to this session.
It's an honor. I tell you, one of the great things about doing this show, working in this industry, is I get to meet the people I've always admired for their fishing and get to know them as people. And Lendell is one of those guys. You know, this man is a 5-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier, a Forest Wood Cup qualifier. He's had a lot of success on the tournament trail through the years. But Lendell, as I've gotten to know you a little better, one of the things that surprised me was you never fished a bass tournament until you were 28 years old.
Well, my wife, I actually fished.
You're going to blame on your wife. That's what I like to do.
I'm going to have to do that because she actually bought my first entry fee to a tournament. And I was really a bass club guy, you know. I mean, we had a Nacogdoches Bass Club, and it was really competitive. And those guys were really good. I mean, on those local lakes, they were tough. We actually won state championship several years, and we were really competitive.
And as you say, Lendell's from Texas. You win a state championship in Texas. You have done something.
Oh yeah, and it just wasn't me. It was, I mean, we had some folks there that were really good fishermen, and the bad thing about it right now, a lot of those guys that were fishing those bass clubs, they're not here with me anymore. You know, as far as that right now with my. But back in the day, we were really tough, and we were some winners back in that. But I actually started fishing bass club, and then she paid my first entry fee, and it was on Rayburn. I did pretty good, and then I started winning some local tournaments around that area, and Yamaha Outboards actually came up, and actually there's Tommy.
There's Tommy Biffle. My next guest, Tommy. We're started with Lendell. We will. Hey, you're always welcome. Anytime Tommy Biffle gets here, that's a good time. But you're talking to Lendell about coming up your first derby on Rayburn, Toledo Bend. I know you're really tight with Tommy Martin, one of the all-time greats of the sport. And what is it about that area that breeds bass fishing excellence and royalty?
Well, there's just a number of lakes around there that's got big fish in it, and it's got the right habitat for the fish to live in, from the grass to, I mean, you know, the grass comes and goes and changes, and, Toledo Bend, Rayburn, and then you've got all the small lakes that Pinkston and Lake Nacogdoches, and then Lake Nacogdoches, which is right by me. And you can go and catch a 7 to 10 pound bass any day of the week, you know, within 30 minutes of my home, you know. And that's, I think, is something that just, you know, it's sort of, that's why I moved there to start with, is because of the bass fishing. I wanted to move to Nacogdoches, where I was right in the center of some of the best fisheries in the country.
Now, we talk about your first bass tournament when you're 28 years old. What was it that got you started in saying to yourself, hey, I think I can make a living doing this. I would enjoy that kind of career. What caused you to take that step?
Well, at that time, I was fishing a lot of the what you call jackpot tournaments around that were going that you could win some money at, from Rayburn to Lita Bend, because I really couldn't afford to travel that much. But I was fortunate enough to be pretty good friends with Lonnie Stanley and Jack Haynes and some of those guys that was fishing some tournaments. And
Lonnie Stanley, of course, Stanley Jigs.
There you go.
Jack Haynes won the 1975 Bassmaster Classic.
Yep.
These guys were building their own legend.
Right. And then, I was really, at that time, doing pretty well, and Yamaha outboards they were coming across, and they were trying to get started. And they ended up hiring me at that time. And one of the deals was I could fish any tournament I wanted to fish, or as many of them as I wanted to. So that got me cranked off and got me started to where I started fishing some bass tournaments and started trying to climb that ladder.
Yes, having success. Now, when we talked earlier, you talked about some of your. I like to ask guys, who are your early fishing heroes? And your fishing heroes early on, when you were starting to get into the career of bass fishing, also became some of your best friends.
Oh, yes.
And you mentioned two in particular.
Right. Hank Parker, he's one of those kind of guys that he's one of those friends that would just die for you. He would. He's just one of those stand-up guys.
He's the guy you see on the TV show.
There you go.
And I'm a huge Hank Parker fan.
Right, and Hank and I have been friends forever, and we just, matter of fact, he texted me today, But
did you tell him you were going to be on Roundtable?
Do what now?
Did you tell him you were going to be on Roundtable?
No, I didn't.
Oh, come on, come on, Lendell.
He actually wished me Happy Father's Day.
Oh, there you go. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And but anyway, Tommy, back at that time, Tommy and I were
Tommy Martin, the 1974 Bassmaster Classic champion, another legend of the game.
There you go. And Tommy was a big inspiration. I was a young guy. I really didn't know squat about what I need to do, where I need to go, or anything. And Tommy was good about giving me some direction and actually helping me to do the right things the right way when I first started. And that was pretty important, And I ended up getting a pretty lucrative contract with Bass Pro Shops. I worked for them on their fishing team for like 17 and a half years.
That's impressive.
And I ended up raising all my kids in the fishing industry. And it ended up being great for me. And then I ended up getting on to where in my life that there was other things that I really wanted to do. I still wanted to stay fishing because I had that passion. But I wanted to do some other things and not just constantly on the road. So I quit doing the shows and sort of backed off some of those guys.
And a big part of that is Rio Springs Ranch, which is right there on your cap.
Yes, I've got a ranch that it's in Kenny and Val Verde County, and it takes a lot of time to try to keep that place up. And it's right at 15,000 acres, and that's not counting what we have back in East Texas. We run some cattle back there too. But it's just I just got to a point where it was tough traveling and taking care of everything we had going. But I still had the passion for the sport, and I think once you have that.
person, but you're out there because you loved it, and you showed that.
Well, that passion, I think all of us in a roundabout way has a passion for this, to chase this little green fish that we've been chasing. And it's amazing how God put a fish in front of us and can turn it around to where we can be a witness for him and just in chasing that fish. That's just like you, Ken. Your passion might be different from what mine, but it still evolves around that green fish. Same way with Brad. Yeah. Same way with Fat Cat. When you just go down the line, all of us are different, and we look at the sport in a different way, but we end up having that passion, and our passion is used, right down the line. I just hope that God can put me in a place where I need to be, wherever it's at, that I can continue to just do what I need to do for him.
Well, you're a wonderful ambassador to the sport, and here we are. We're not too terribly far from your home in Texas. Shores of Lake Eufaula. I wish everybody could see the lake. It's a beautiful lake. The watercolor may not be considered beautiful by a lot of people, but it's pretty dirty out there. How has day one of practice been for you?
I would take my practice day during the tournament.
Would you now?
Yeah, I had a pretty good practice day, really. I mean, I didn't catch a giant bag, but I caught I'd say I could have had about 13, 14 pounds a day.
There you go. Now, see, that ties right into the question I was going to ask you later. I was going to say, Lendell, if I had the power, if Brad Fuller bestowed upon me the power to give you 40 pounds, would you take it and sleep in, or would you think I got to go out there and I can do better than that?
I want to go fishing, so I'd have to go fishing. I mean, that would probably be stupid. I'd be better off take the 40 pounds probably, but my mama always said, son, you're going to have to wake up. So, I mean.
I like the competitor in you about that. That's wonderful.
I think I would probably, I'd probably go fishing.
Okay. That's
even
awesome.
Though it was hot this afternoon, and I mean humid. And this morning it was raining and thundering and carrying on, but it was really a good day. And there is some, I mean, we're gonna catch some fish. It's not going to be a.
Well, that kind of ties into another thing I wanted to ask you about today, and that is, when we talk about tournaments, we often talk about them as being slam fests, where guys are catching 30 pounds a day, or we talk about them being grinders, where 15 pounds or less a day is really pretty good. Are you a guy who prefers just a slam fest, or are you a guy who likes his chances better in a grinder?
I like the grinders, if you want to know the truth. Just like Douglas, this one here is going to be a grinder. You can catch it. I mean, you can catch quite a few fish, Ken, but there are quite a few that are 13 and a half inches.
That won't keep
shape.
here. Yeah, 14 inches is the minimum size limit on this one. So
yeah. So, but I mean, there again, boom, you'll catch a 3-pounder, or 2.5 pounder. But now this is another thing too. The water's up, and there's a lot of targets in the lake that are, what I'm saying, that everybody's looking at and casting at, and during practice we end up catching a lot of the I call them dummies and the easy ones.
Sure.
So we pluck some of them off. So it'll get harder every day. So that being said, the key to this tournament is going to be finding something that everybody else isn't finding as well.
In looking at this watercolor, I usually associate dirty water with a shallower bite. That may not always be true, of course, but I'm a shallow water guy by nature. And I think you are too. I think you've kind of described yourself as a shallow water target fisherman. And that's kind of what I am, but on a much lower level than Lendell Martin Jr.
No, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah. Is this going to be a tournament that you think is going to be won in 6 feet or less?
I do believe so, without a doubt. Yeah. I think it will. Now, it depends. We had a lot of rain. I don't know how much last night, and I hadn't had a chance to look and see if the lake come up, but it's been going down every day. But I don't know how it could keep going down with the rain we had today, this morning and last night, and with what I saw actually running in the lake today.
Yeah, right here, I'm staying basically right on the shore of the lake here, and big thunderstorms and a lot of rain last night. They've had just an incredible amount of rain here in the last few weeks and months, and the lake is, 8 feet high, something like that?
Oh, yeah.
And if you drive around the lake, you see, there's a bench, and it's under the water. Or a lamp post, there's only 2 feet above it, 2 feet above the water. So water is super high, it's dirty. But that kind of plays to your strengths, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I like fishing targets and I like fishing shallow, but I mean, I do fish deep. I mean,
You have to.
and that's just something that I do, and I like doing it when you have to. But my strengths, I feel like, is pitching and flipping and winding. I like fishing. I mean, and going, moving. So anyway, and I feel like this tournament's going to play right into that kind of deal for me. Now, whether I'm going to catch, what I'm saying, the kind of fish we need to during the tournament, like I said, I'd like to have my day-to-day during the tournament. So.
As a really experienced pro, and you're trying to prepare for this tournament, you're doing your research, is there a comparable for the water conditions we've got now? You studied Eufaula, you know what's out here, you have an idea what it might take to win, but then you see the lake's up 8 or 9 feet and the water's really dirty. Did you find a comparable for that?
I think that we're still going to catch them even in the mud. I mean, there'll be some guys that will catch. I caught 2 or 3, and I mean, it was like dirty, but there'll be some guys that'll probably fish a lot of the muddy water that'll do real well. And I'm going to fish more of it tomorrow. I think everybody's sort of getting psyched out thinking they got to have clear water and they got to do this and that. But I've fished this lake 4 or 5 times, and I've never seen it, but maybe twice, that it was really clean and
right.
Clear. But these fish are used to that, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to eat right where they live, and they're going to stay where they live, and you just got to figure out how to catch them. And that, whether it's muddy or whether it's off color or whether it's clear.
Now, we talk about the dirty water course, and usually I think of dirty water as a shallow, moves the fish shallow, and I think of falling water as something that causes the fish to want to pull back and get out maybe to that first drop. Is that going to be a confusing situation for a lot of anglers?
I don't think it's going to be, because up in the brush it's 7 foot deep, in the brush now. I mean, by the time we get to the last day of the tournament, even if they dropped it a foot a day, these fish are still going to have, 4 foot of brush or something to get into. But what's happened is it's gone so far that I think that they've got so much to get into, you've got to sort of simplify that and try to find some places that there's maybe not quite as much brush in the water.
Another thing that got me thinking about, a lot of guys throw a really bright color. When the water is really dirty, they'll throw a chartreuse or they'll throw something with a lot of contrast like a black. And it got me to thinking about your jersey and boat color, Lendell. That hot pink. You stand out, my friend.
Well,
what caused you to go with those colors?
I'll be honest with you. That was my wife. And I told her, I'm not very good at coming up with, what I'm saying, laying. And I told her, I said, I want a wrap that will be very photogenic and that I won't have to worry about somebody else wanting to run the same. And I want it to be to where they know who it is when they see the wrap. And then I also want it to be where they'll know what I've got on the Rio Springs Ranch.
Mrs. Martin, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Well, she actually nailed it. But anyway, when she first came back, and you know how they'll shoot you a photo of what it's going to look.
Yeah.
And when she showed me that, I looked at it and I said, just have to. I said, oh crap! I mean, that's really. I thought, I'm not going to run that.
You're not going to take the teasing that's going to come with this.
Anyway, but to make a long story short, now it's like everybody knows Lendell Martin. So. It's just part of Rio Springs and part of Lendell Martin now. So
you stand out. I mean, everybody knows your boat from way across the lake. A buddy of mine, Kevin Short, ran a pink boat for many years, and he got to be called K Pink, and it was a brand for him. And,
right.
And I love that you're doing the same thing with it. It's a bold move.
It's actually called snow camo.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I like it.
It's called snow camo, but it is pink. Yeah.
It's a bold, strong move. It's a great branding move.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, very photogenic. You can see it, and I don't have to worry about everybody on the tour trying to copy it. So
No, there's not another angler on this tour who's man enough and confident enough in his manliness to try to emulate Lendell Martin Jr.'s
Or maybe
boat.
crazy enough.
Or maybe crazy enough. There's that too.
Right.
All right, you told me one cool thing about. I asked you if you had any superstitions, and you gave me one that's I think a common one, a traditional one. You said you're not a big fan of black cats.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to be superstitious, but if I see a black cat, I'm gonna hold up a little bit and let somebody else walk across.
Let somebody else in the tournament field cross in front of that.
There you go. Just hold up and talk for a minute and let somebody else walk by there.
I like it. Well, Lendell Martin Jr., I'm a fan. I'll be rooting for you, man.
All right, thank you.
I hope you got a camera in your boat a couple of days this week, and I am looking forward to seeing you not get anywhere near black cats and knock one out of the park here.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying to do the best I can do. Hopefully God will bless me.
Well, I think,
you as well.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that every time that you're on that camera and any time that you're showing the passion you have for the sport and your love of the Lord and all that means to you, it's a good thing for all of us.
Well,
Thank you. It's absolutely a big deal and a wonderful thing for all of us. So I appreciate what you bring to the table, sir, and you're having a great year. We didn't mention this, but you're 41st in AOY right now. That puts you one spot. You're the bubble boy at the moment.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, when you look at the points, I mean, it's just one. I mean, it's crazy.
It's very tight.
I mean, and these guys don't slip up.
No.
I mean, they just don't mess up. Lendell messes up every once in a while, but they do not. Some of them just, they're very consistent. So.
Yeah, their consistency can take you a long way in this sport, and but you're having a strong start in 10th place at Douglas, and then you're coming a little closer to home. Looks like another shallow derby where shallow targets are going to be a big player. I'm expecting you to have a great finish here.
Well, I hope so, and I feel like hopefully that'll work out. We'll just have to see what happens.
I have no doubt. I'm looking for Brad Fuller here. Where is Brad? Here we go. Hey, Lendell, thank you much, sir. We appreciate you, man.
All right.
Good luck out there. Have a great practice and follow it up with a big tournament.
Thank you, yeah.
I will see you as you come off the stage each and every day.
All right. God bless
Appreciate you, man. And let's see. I think we've got Megan coming in. Megan is the manager here at Captain John's. Megan, come on if you would and have a seat. I apologize for not standing up. I try to be a gentleman, but I also try not to have the headphones ripped off my hair.
That's okay. I totally understand.
All right, folks. Megan is the manager here at Captain John's. How long have you been here, Megan?
I have actually been at Captain John's off and on for about 7 years now. So
That's a long
I took
time.
a little hiatus. We moved to Oklahoma City for my husband's job. So I'm just recently back over the last year or so.
Well, cool. And you're the manager, so.
Yes, one of us.
So
yes.
You came in really quickly as a manager position.
Well, when I was here initially, I worked at the location in McAllister. I was there for quite a while. I would say probably about 3 years. And I was already managing then.
Okay.
So whenever I came back, I was going back and forth between both locations, but they specifically needed a bar manager over here. So I generally am the bar manager, but I do a little bit of everything that I can to help the restaurant.
Got a great location here.
Mm-hmm.
We are literally on the water at Lake Eufaula, just outside the city of Eufaula. And what are some of the specialties? What do folks come here for?
Honestly, I think more than anything, people love the food, they love the environment, but I think they love the service. I think that our girls provide a pretty great service for these folks, and we do provide something that's a little bit different for the Southeast Oklahoma area. A lot of the places that you're going to find around here to eat are mostly going to be Mexican food or,
sure.
small
I see a lot of
burger
pizza
joints.
places.
Yes, lots of pizza places, things that are quick and easy. So I think we just provide something that's a little bit different as far as, palate goes for some folks. So I think that's really what it is.
So give me some of the top dishes here.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely preference.
I love burgers.
Okay.
You guys got burgers?
We do. We have great burgers. So my preferred burger is probably going to be our steakhouse burger. Super good. But if I'm looking at the menu as a whole, I know it sounds crazy, but our pork chop is absolutely to die for. Our pork chop is amazing. It's huge, bone-in, super juicy. It's a great pork chop.
I would definitely try that. I think pork chops are hit or miss so often, but when a place has a good pork chop, that's going to get me heading that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Now the bar, you say you're usually managing the bar.
Yes, I am the bar manager.
And this place is busy, folks.
It's
quieted down a little bit, and we've kind of tucked ourselves away in a quiet corner, but you guys do a great business, and here we are. It's Sunday night.
Yep.
So
Father's
I wouldn't
Day.
expect Father's Day.
Father's
Big night
Day,
here.
Yes, it's a huge night here. I think, like I said, there's not a whole lot that offers what we offer in town. So whenever it is something like Father's Day and you can get a steak, you can get a burger, you can get fish, whatever it is, we provide that. So this is the place that people want to go. Plus the view and the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Our bar's
fantastic.
great.
Now, so this is not the only location for Captain John's.
No, it is not. So we actually, originally, Michael started this location on the other side of the water down there. It was in 2015. They were open seasonally. They had a flood that kind of washed them out for a few months, so they didn't quite get to do everything they wanted that summer, and Michael just kind of wanted to grow it, keep on going, so they closed that location. They opened our location in McAllister in 2017. That has stayed open full-time Monday through, Sunday as it is all the time for... I think probably the last 5 or 6 years we did some schedule changes, and then they reopened this location in 2022.
Well, folks, you're going to have to come out to either McAllister or Eufaula and check out Captain John's.
Yes.
Here at Eufaula. I can't beat the view out here, so check that out. Check out the pork chop for sure, and good burgers, so you don't want to miss it. Megan, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely,
Appreciate
I appreciate
you very
it.
much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
And, folks, our next guest is none other than, I'm a huge fan of this guy.
Thanks,
Let's see if we can get him over here. He's moving slow. He's not that old. He's not old enough to move this slow. But my friend, my favorite guy, he just asked me what I know, and he knows I don't know anything. So that's a tough question for me to answer. But we're going to get Tommy Biffle to sit down here with us on Roundtable.
Let me get you dressed, Dad. Okay.
I am a huge fan of this guest right here. I've known this man a long time. He is one of the greats of the sport. Absolutely, he belongs in the same breath as the Dances and the Cluns and the Martins. Tommy Biffle, from not too far away from here, Wagoner, Oklahoma. How far are you from here, Tommy?
About an hour and 5 minutes.
That's not too bad.
That's not bad.
We're going to talk about a lot of stuff as fast as we can because I just am such a big fan of yours. But this man has qualified for 19 Bassmaster Classics. He's been to 8 Wood Cups. He's a 7-time BASS winner. 4 of those were elite wins. He's won an FLW tournament. This is only his second year with the NPFL. He is currently 44th in AOY, so he's just outside the cut if the tournament were to end right now for that 2026 championship. Bass Fishing Hall of Fame in 2022. And, but, those are the kind of accolades that some other people might have. But here's the one that blows me away. This is the man who invented modern pitching. When you make that little underhanded pitch cast with a bait caster, you're following in his footsteps. What caused you to do that, Tom? Because before that, everybody was flipping conventionally. It's a fixed line technique. But you decided there was a better way.
I always just figured I was kind of lazy.
That works too.
Yeah. When you're flipping, the old style of flipping, you could only flip so far. And I'd get in the back of a pocket or something, and I'd want to go way back there. So I just would, pitch it over there, and it just became automatic.
And you changed the fishing world, so much so that when people say they caught him flipping, what they really mean is they caught him pitching. 99% of the time. Almost nobody flips anymore.
I'm guilty about that, too.
About saying flipping?
Yes.
Don't
caught him flipping, but, might not have been a flip all day.
Exactly. Flipping is great if you're 6 feet away from a target, but if you're 20 feet away, you're going to go with the school this man started. When did you first, I guess it must have been in the early 80s or even earlier?
It was probably earlier. I had the first flipping stick I had was an old Fenwick.
Oh, yeah.
One of those
that was
real
the first
heavy
one.
ones.
Yeah, glass.
And the first tournament I won, I was a no-boater because I'd blown my engine. And the guy that I fished with was the guide on the lake at home. And he fished his stuff half a day, and I told him I know where they're at. And I ended up catching 31.15.
Oh.
and
5 or was it 7 then?
7 then.
7. Okay, still amazing.
And that was the start of my flipping. I never laid it down since.
And that's what your reputation is. But I know you've won offshore tournaments. I've seen you win offshore tournaments and things like that. But I think it's great that you are so closely associated with flipping and pitching because it's really made you the go-to guy when people are trying to create content. When I want to do an article or somebody else wants to talk to an expert, they know you're the man.
Well, I've done it forever. I'm old.
But it's not just that you've done it forever, you've done it at such a high level. But now I want to change gears just for a second. You live on the shores of Fort Gibson Lake, an hour and 5 minutes from here. I remember a tournament because I covered it. In 2010, it was a Bassmaster Elite Series tournament on Fort Gibson. And back then, I guess you guys had, 3 days of practice? On the third day of practice, what should have been the third day of practice, what did you do?
Mowed the yard.
Mowed the yard. Man, stayed home and mowed the lawn.
I figured if I hadn't figured out how to catch them there in about 30 years, one more day wasn't going to help.
What are the odds that you mow the lawn this year on day 3?
I mowed it before practice started, before the rain started.
Okay, well, that's good.
We got back home. We had 2 days to get it mowed. So
you're actually going to be on the water for practice this one?
Yes.
I like it. Now, how much experience do you have on Eufaula? It's close to home.
A lot.
A lot. Is that going to help you or hurt you this week?
It's not going to hurt me. I lived in Muskogee for 20 years.
Right.
And I'd always come down here. And I held the lake record for 19 years.
How big?
10 pounds.
Whoa.
And that was just a regular native bass. Now they've got the F1s and the Florida Straight in here. And this spring, I know there were several 10-pounders caught. So, the lake's getting better. It's going to be a good tournament.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I come out here and a lot of guys, we look at that watercolor. We wonder if is that going to make it tough, or is that just going to bring the fish shallower and maybe make them
I think it's going to be tough on some guys because they don't like it. But the fish live in it and they eat in it every day. So I've seen it when it was glowing orange and still catch them.
You talk about they don't like it. You're a guy who I know because we've talked about this. You're a guy who likes a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
You like it to be tough.
Yep.
What percentage of a tournament field gives up before it even starts because they're intimidated by the conditions?
I said on this one that the way the conditions were, that it would probably beat half of them. And I hope that's right because there's a bunch of good ones in it.
Oh, yeah, there are. And a bunch of shallow water sticks. Guys who have tremendous reputations up in shallow water. Guys like you, guys like Jason Christie, Greg Hackney, plenty of others.
Yep.
Kyle Welcher is developing an amazing reputation as a shallow water angler.
He's a hammer.
He is absolutely a hammer. Zach Burge has won out here. You're going up against, I think, as strong a field as we could probably assemble.
There's a lot of guys in this one that could win it at any time. So, just have to catch all that bites and don't lose them.
But we talked about flipping and pitching, and you're the guy who started the pitching thing. But another technique you're known for is the swing head jig, the LaRue hard head and Biffle bug.
Yeah.
And that really changed your style of fishing for quite a while.
It just about ruined me.
What do you mean?
Well, I used to be a jig fisherman.
Right.
I'd fish a jig all the time. Loved to fish a jig. And then I can cover so much water, so much more water faster with the bug and the hard head. Still catch a lot of fish, catch the same big fish. And I'd maybe have a bad tournament or something, and I'd go back to Gene LaRue guys and Gary Dallahan. You know Gary.
I know Gary well.
And I say, well, I think I got bug bit because I fish it too much sometimes.
All right, I want to do a bit of a deeper dive into the hard head and the Biffle bug. For folks who don't know, the hard head is a swing head jig.
Football head
it's
jig.
A football head. Instead of a jig coming right out of the lead head, it's got an eye, and that hook is permanently fixed to the eye, and it's a big hook. It's a 4/0, 5/0 hook, and you put your own soft plastic on there. But you leave it on there. You don't jam it up against the football head. You give it a little room, and as that bait is moving and coming across cover and structure on the bottom, that soft plastic bait, and I'm going to recommend the LaRue Biffle bug. It is the go-to bait for this technique. It is going crazy down there.
It looks like it's swimming.
Yeah, it's swimming. And a lot of people think, oh, that's just a jig. Well, it can be if that's the way you just want to fish it. But I had the great privilege of being in the boat with Tommy and watch him do it, and wrote an article about it years ago. And Tommy, talk to us about your style of fishing that bait.
You know, the good thing about that bait, there's not a wrong way to fish it. There's a better way to fish it, but not a wrong way. And I've had guys say, oh, I just hop it like a jig, and they catch them on it.
Sure.
But I'll catch 10 to their 1.
Yeah, it's great as a jig. It's as good as any other jig.
Yeah, but if you reel it and you keep it ricocheting and bouncing off rocks, it doesn't get hung up. And I think those bass hear it or feel the commotion, beating and banging, and here it comes, there it goes, I got to get it, and they get it. So it's a good bait. It's kind of like crankbait. You know, I can cover much water as a crankbaiter.
Yeah, in a lot of places where a guy might throw a square bill, Tommy's throwing the hardhead and biffle bug. And I would say maybe its classic conditions is to fish it around shallow rock, probably. That's maybe a 45-degree angle or even less.
Less flat. You know, like on Fort Gibson, we have a lot of flat bays and stuff that's really good, conducive for it. But I always thought it was best on rocks, but I won one on sand, and I've caught them everything but in mud, you know.
You've torn them up in Florida where there is not a rock in the state, basically. I've seen you do it. And what's cool about it, in my opinion, is Tommy fishes it like a crankbait. He'll throw it out there kind of quartering a bank most often, and he's going to use the whatever weight he can keep it moving pretty quick and still maintain that bottom contact.
You want to keep it bouncing on the bottom.
Yeah. And he'll zoom it out there, and he's got a 7-to-1 reel, and he's pointing it more or less at the bait, and he's winding it. He's not stopping to pause and lift and drop or crawl. That thing is ricocheting through the rocks or the sticks or whatever he's got, and every once in a while, and pretty often, a bass is going to load up on that thing, and you fish it on pretty heavy gear.
Yeah, I throw it on 20-pound shooter sunline and a 7.4 lose heavy, and on a 7-to-3 gear ratio reel. So when I first started fishing, I wanted a bait that, you know, not like a crankbait. So I said, I'm going to use a jig. I'm going to get a flipping stick. I'm going to use 25-pound line, one big hook. Don't lose very many.
No.
So try to put the odds in my favor.
Yeah, I'd say so. And you did it with the hardhead and biffle bug as well. I've been shocked at how few pros fish that technique. I think if they saw how effective it was, they would all adopt it.
I'm glad they don't.
Well, yeah, there's that. There's that. I can't argue with you there.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that, and I think some of them do it and don't say anything, you know.
There's got to be that. Yeah, there's because pros like to keep secrets, but it's when those secrets get out that the rest of us get to learn. And that's why, I've been so privileged. I get to be in the boat with a guy like Tommy Biffle or a guy like David Fritz and cranking, and it's just an eye-opening experience. I would never have figured out the hardhead and biffle bug had I not sat in the back of your boat. And people would never have developed skills in that technique had they not seen videos you've done or read stories that have been done about you. It's how hard is it to give up the juice?
Well, that was a deal that I would have liked to kept for a long time. But when they came to Fort Gibson on that elite tournament, I won it. And then the next week I went to Cherokee and I won it. So the cat was out of the bag. And both of them were one on the bug and the hardhead.
Yeah, I was there for Fort Gibson, and it was not long after that we did the story in a magazine about it. And that story just, I think, shook up the bass fishing world, and I hope it sold a lot of hardheads.
It did.
That's what we got to do.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken. Hey, real quick.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to stop now. I don't do this often, but I will interrupt real quick. Before you let him go, you got to ask him about who's staying at his house this week.
Tommy Biffle, who's staying at your house this week?
Oh, I got a house full. I got David Fritz. I got James Worldwide Watson. And I've got John Cox.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy.
So
that's crazy. That's a lot of talent and a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble, more or less.
Did you lock the liquor cabinet?
Don't have one.
Excellent. You're already in pretty good shape there. But
yeah.
Wow. Now, okay, I got to ask the next question. That's for legendary anglers and personalities. Do you guys share information?
Now, I did lock the tackle room.
Oh, that's smart. That's next level smart.
No, yeah, we all try to help each other a little bit because, you know, I don't really think it helps any of us.
Well, you know, you guys, well, you and Cox are renowned for being shallow water guys. David obviously is so good offshore, and James is in the apparel business, from what I can tell. So
he's made more money in apparel than I have fishing.
there you go. There you go. I mean, he's a dangerous man, no matter what it is. But that's how do y'all avoid staying up all night talking?
Oh, they go to bed pretty early. They want to go to bed about 10 because it's an hour drive, so we got to get up about 4 or so and leave.
Now I know that's your home, and there's got to be a comfort level in sleeping in your own bed.
Well, the good thing is we've got a big carport on a building.
Right.
And everybody's boat's under the carport.
Oh, that's nice. That's a big carport.
Yeah, and so it's not getting rained on, not getting wet, and
no safety issues.
No, nobody bothering us. So it's pretty nice.
Well, that's still 2 hours of your day back and forth. Do you feel like you've lost anything with that? Maybe an hour of sleep, or?
No, I don't need much sleep.
All right, you're no longer a young man. You were tearing it up in the 80s as a young man. You're still tearing it up in the 2010s and strong in the 2020s. What's gotten easier about being a bass pro as you've gotten older? Anything?
No, I think it's as hard or harder now than it used to be.
Well, that question just sucked, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right, what's gotten harder? I can tell you because you and I are about the same age. It ain't any easier to get less sleep and stuff like that.
Well, believe it or not, my wife got me one of those sleep apnea machines. And that has helped 100%.
There you go, the mask and the
yeah. I got a little nose deal, but it's a big help.
That
I hate to admit it, but it works.
I'm supposed to have a sleep study. That's not a topic.
I'll tell you how
to
do it.
Well, I'll take your advice.
I'll tell you.
That's another industry secret we have to keep between me and Tommy. We can't tell everybody these breathing secrets. You've been at this game a long time. What would be the best advice you would have for somebody who wants to have a career in professional bass fishing?
Just the time on the water is probably the best thing. More time you spend on the water, the better you'll get, and more situations you get into that you can recall. And well, I did this 2 years ago, and I think that's one of the most important things.
Now, I asked Lendell Martin this question. We were talking about the conditions out here and stuff, and have you faced conditions on Eufaula like we are seeing this week?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a lot muddier than it is right now. I was really surprised. I brought Fritz and John Cox down here yesterday, showed them where the ramp was, and showed them different areas of the lake from the car, and we thought it was pretty muddy, but when you get out there on the water, it's not as bad as you think.
Did you ever consider showing them a different ramp on a different body of water and say, yeah, that's where we're launching right here?
That'd be a good idea, but no.
I'm full of good ideas, Tony. You just got to ask me.
I know you're full of it.
Not quite the way I was hoping you'd say that, but that's good. That's good. All right, so you've seen it under these kind of conditions. Is this a tournament? If Brad Fuller gave me the power to give you, let's say, 45 pounds, I can give you 45 pounds. You don't have to walk to the scales. Do you take it and sleep in, or do you need to go fishing?
I believe I'd take the 45.
What about 40?
Nope. That's going to take 45 or more.
I like it.
I think.
The 14-inch size limit, you talked about eliminating half the field just because maybe they've kind of mentally, emotionally quit before they start. That 14-inch size limit also has got to weigh on people. This lake is full of 13 and 13.5-inch fish.
Yeah, but it's full of fish. It's full of good fish. And old Larry Nixon, he used to drive across I-40 every now and then, and he'd say, "What is that muddy lake I drive across on?" I said, "Oh, that's you went across the Deep Fork on Eufaula. That mud hole." And then he started calling me Mud Dauber. He'd call me Mud Dauber all the time. But, those fish live in that muddy water. They eat in it every day, so it's normal.
Yeah, I don't think he's taking any insults from a guy from Arkansas. But that's just me. I'm just messing. All right, so time on the water. I've always heard that as I think that's the best advice I've ever heard about how to become a better angler is to spend more time on the water. We're seeing a lot of forward-facing sonar these days, and of course, the NPFL forward-facing sonar is prohibited. I've got my own opinions on forward-facing sonar. I think it kind of violates some rules of fair chase, but we won't go into that. Has forward-facing sonar for a lot of anglers replaced time on the water?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's gave them a big jump start, especially the young ones.
Yeah.
And a lot of the young ones, they started with forward-facing sonar. So if you take forward-facing sonar away from a lot of them's going to be hurt.
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely a good tool. They can catch them with it. I like to crappie fish with it.
Oh, I've been in a
Matter
boat
of
with
fact,
you.
we had crappie last night.
I've been in the boat with you before forward-facing sonar and watched you catch crappie. I don't think you need any advantages like that. All right, you had a day of practice out here now. Were you surprised by anything you found, or was this pretty much laying out the way you thought it might?
It was pretty good, a day of practice. I didn't catch as many quality fish as I was hoping for, but had plenty of bites. And, you don't jerk on all of them, so you just kind of see what unfolds there in the tournament.
I know you well enough to know you're not going to give me too much information. I'm not worried about that. But whatever you can give up, is this a tournament that's going to be won in 6 feet or less?
Yes.
Is this a tournament that's going to be won with moving baits, or are you going to need to get up in the bushes and dip and daub?
I hope you got dip and daub.
Definitely an advantage for Tommy Biffle.
Yeah. There's going to be guys catching them on spinner baits, buzz baits, top waters, and flipping. So,
is it going to be a location tournament, or is it going to be one on a pattern?
I like a pattern.
If you had to pick a winning weight, you talked about 45 might be close. Mm-hmm. Do you think it might take 50?
I don't know if it'd take 50 or not. I'm going to say between 45 and 50. It's a good lake, but I didn't get enough big bites or quality bites to say 50 or better,
I'm expecting big things out of Tommy Biffle this week.
I'm going to be trying.
Well, I know you are, but I might be a jinx, man. I don't want to be a jinx, dude.
Nah, you're not jinx.
I'm a big fan. I don't want to be a jinx.
You're full of knowledge.
Oh,
we all the fishermen wonder, how does he remember all the statistics that you know on all the fishermen?
I keep notes this time. I keep notes for fear I'll go blank. Blank is this card, but no, on this side is good. First of all, like I said, I'm a fan. Is anybody gonna be able to be successful in deep water out here? Let's say 12 or deeper, or is that bite pretty much?
I think
off
that
the
bite's
table?
gone. And watch somebody win it, but I think that bite's gone.
Because ordinarily, now I'm not familiar with this lake, but I would think that ordinarily this much after the post spawn, you'd have a lot of fish moving out to some of the deepest water they would find all year.
It would be real good if the lake was clear, or normal, and then you might see 20-pound stringers, But I think that's going to take and that might be where the big fish are. They may be out there deeper, but I'm not going to try to catch them.
Now, we're all going to be watching the live information about the catches and stuff like that, the catch track stuff, and we're all going to be watching the live feed on Thursday and Friday for day 2 and day 3. How are we going to know if things are playing out well for you? Do you need to be putting a lot of fish in the boat early, or is this going to be a dribs and drabs until you rack up a good catch by the end of the day?
I just hope it's a good catch by the end of the day. I don't care if I just get 5 or 6 bites if they're the right ones.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've always admired about you.
And if you get a lot of bites, you're probably going to catch quite a few small fish.
Yeah.
We caught a lot of small fish today. But I think you got to set your mindset, get 5, 6, 7, 8 bites a day. And
if you have, let's say you've got a limit, you've got 5 fish that'll weigh, say, let's throw a number out there, 13 pounds. Will you change gears at that point and start to look for a bigger fish? And if so, will it be a change in baits or will it be a change in locations?
I'll bet you're doing the same thing that got that 13 pounds because I'm fishing for 5 good ones anyway.
Gotcha.
So
All right, so these are my favorite Tommy Biffle type questions. How many rods are you planning to have on your deck on day one, Wednesday?
Well, I'll have probably 6 to 8,
Okay,
but all of them might have the same thing tied on them.
gotcha. Different colors,
or different
trailers.
trailers, different weights, but they're all meant for the same thing.
Water this dirty, and what's the visibility out there, ballpark, over most of the lake?
Probably 2 to 3 inches.
Will you go to braid?
No.
Why not?
Braid, I think you don't get as many bites on a braid. And when you get your bait, jig, whatever, hung up, and you pop your line, you make it jump off. You don't have to go over there. With braid, you can't make it jump off.
Right, doesn't have
so,
that stretch.
I saw in a tournament we had at Falcon, and I was using braid. And when you pull it over a branch, you'd hear it.
Yeah, that.
And
sound.
they weren't biting like I thought they should. I picked up a rod that had 25 fluorocarbon on it, and it was like you flipped a switch. And they just was one in every tree. So I quit using it then.
Makes a lot of sense. I know guys who have that same attitude about braid in heavy vegetation. They feel like they hear that sawing.
Yeah, in hyacinths, it's really bad because you hear it.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't found one that could break at 25 yet anyway.
There you go. There you go. Well, you're the best. You're the best in the business at that. I don't think anybody can challenge that. I look at the qualifications you have. Hall of Fame in 2022. Was that an honor?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Feel good about that?
Definitely.
Because you were a slam dunk for that.
It was an honor, but I was dreading it. You can't believe how bad I was dreading that night.
Why is that?
I didn't want to get up there and talk. So, but it was all good. So,
so well deserved.
Well, I appreciate it.
So well deserved. What drives you now? You've accomplished so much. And folks, here's another thing folks don't know maybe about Tommy Biffle. If you could just add 5 pounds to Tommy Biffle's career in the right places, he was second in the Forest Wood Cup 3 times. He was second in the Bassmaster Classic twice. Mm-hmm. You add 4 or 5 pounds to this man's career on the right days, and he's won 5 major championships. Mm-hmm. What hills are left for you to climb?
Well, I need to win one of these.
There you go.
First thing.
It's a cool
and make it to the championship and win it.
That's a pretty clear goal.
But I just like to fish, so I'm just going to keep on fishing until I can't do it anymore.
Well, you like to fish, and you're really, really good at it. There have been very few guys who can hang with Tommy Biffle, and I really appreciate you, man. I want to thank you for coming on Roundtable.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
It's an honor.
Oh,
Always
I appreciate it.
And folks, Brad, are we about to wrap this one up? Let's close this one out, guys. That's going to do it for this edition of Roundtable. We have been live from Captain John's in Eufaula, Oklahoma, where we are at Stop 4 on Lake Eufaula. I want to thank everybody for joining us and for supporting the NPFL. Our tournament begins on Wednesday the 18th. It's a 3-day derby. Runs through Friday the 20th. Do not miss it. Our live weigh-ins are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday beginning at 2 p.m. Central Time. That's when Big Al McCullough is going to bring the boom. I think Big Al is awesome at what he does. And speaking of awesome at what they do, Luke Duncan and Fat Cat Newton handle the live coverage on days 2 and days 3. Expect one of those 5 camera boats to be, or one of those 5 cameras to be with Tommy Biffle. I'm looking for that.
I hope so.
I
usually don't like the camera, but I hope so.
I'm putting money on that. But that's Thursday and Friday for the live coverage from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. My name is Ken Duke. I'm going to be back tomorrow for another edition of Roundtable. My guests are going to be Charlie Apperson and Scott Canterbury, who won our last tournament at Lake Douglas. We will catch